the big question you need to ask yourself every day is, do I own a job or do I own a business? And unfortunately, the majority of contractors out there own a job. That's right, they're a slave to their own business. But the other side of the fence is so much greener, it's so much better, and that's when you're finally fully in control of your destiny, your freedom, your time. And that's what Contractor Secrets is about. It's about taking back our time, building a business with systems, standards, values, procedures, putting yourself in the driver's seat. And that's what it's about. So I'm excited. I'm happy to have you here. Let's dive into the Contractor Secrets podcast. Everyone, this is Tanner with the Trade Thrive podcast. I got my good friend Skylar Stewart here. He's a real estate mogul, painting company owner. He'll probably mow some lawns too. Takes anything that comes his way. What's up, man? Happy to have you here today.
Hey Tanner. Thank you for having me on. And that was
Absolutely,
quite an
man.
introduction you gave
It's
me.
inspiring, man.
Appreciate
So, we're in the middle of the big COVID-19, man, and I really wanted to put some content out there. You're a creative guy, man. You're always thinking above the line, ahead of the curve. So first, before we get into what it is that you're doing to stay busy, tell us a little bit about what you got going on the business side of things. Still got PGH painters going. What's that looking like for you, man? What are you? What's your business model look like? What do you primarily do? Tell us a little bit about that.
So, to give you a brief overview, we've been in business. It's going to be our third year here, just starting to ramp up into the busy season. But that's on a slight detour, as I'm sure many other people are, with the COVID-19 epidemic going on. So, I actually started about 2 years ago. We did our first year. We only did interiors. We slowly transitioned to exteriors. In the busy season, I personally run about 6 to 8 guys, and we have 2 vans. So as soon as the busy season is going, we're pretty much focusing on exteriors, doing about 2 houses at a time. Right now, I have 2 guys on the payroll. I'm actually located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so we get really slow in the winter. That's definitely something I'm still trying to work on how to
absolutely
push that out.
And one thing that I like, man, is that even though you are slow, you find ways to keep these guys busy because you also are in the house flipping game. And primarily, the reason why I was excited to get you on here is because that is a really great way not only to keep your team busy, but for some residual income. So what's that house flipping game look like, man? What are some major hurdles you've overcome? And maybe somebody who's listening to this is a contractor who wants that second stream of income, really scared to jump in. What are some lessons, some advice? What can you tell us a little bit about that house flipping that you're doing right now?
Well, first of all, if you're really looking to get into it, I'd hop on, listen to some podcasts, just like you're trying to get educated here. Go out to your local, real estate investor meetups. They're REIA, REIA. And if you get together with a lot of those guys, they're willing to help you. It's still super easy to find money to fund deals. So like the deals that I'm doing, I'm on my 3rd deal right now, and I'm only really needing to bring like 10 to 20K to the table. That's in Pittsburgh, where most of the houses I'm looking at are around like 150K. So it really depends on your market. But as long as you have some general, handyman knowledge, like I started out doing my first rental about a year ago, and I really didn't know anything except painting. And I kind of learned a lot, and I knew I could do it myself. So I just jumped in and decided to go for it. And I spent about I spent 4 or 5 months working there every single weekend, kind of scraping by and just getting it done. And that property's great now. I mean, I'm making almost $700 a month from that, and the property that I made next to it, and passive income. That's after insurance, mortgage, all that stuff. So it's really nice to have it now. And we're actually about 3 weeks into the next project we just started, another flip, and This one, I've hired out most of it. I'm over there doing a few little things, cleaning up a little bit, but we've kind of switched to all
Yeah, so kind of
subcontractors.
just
And
kind of just like starting a business. I mean, that reminds me of when I started my painting business, and it's like, I did not even know how to paint the outside of a house when I started my painting business. I literally learned from somebody who I hired to help me. And, I think that that says a lot about, the process, because, the process is what really deters people from jumping into a new opportunity, endeavor, and really it's that staying power. So you were in it for 4 months grinding, really just learning the ins and outs of the process. You've learned the process, and now you're coming up with a system. You're in a stage now where you're coming up with a system to bring in these subcontractors, and now you're able to project results, it sounds like. So you're seeing, okay, this house can yield me this result based off of, these expenses, and, certain things like that. So, it's pretty cool that it's coming full circle for you.
yeah, it really has. And I'll say that, on that first house, like if I really were looking work out my hourly wage, I was probably making a few dollars an hour, all said and done. But I mean, the
Right.
knowledge that I've gained and the money I'm making on the one I'm doing right now, I'm going to be making a lot more than that. And it's kind of just building on the process. I hope to be doing hopefully about 10 of these houses a year. We'll see how the COVID thing has me a little worried, but in the next coming years,
Well,
that's
that's why
really where
real
I'm looking to
estate's such a good
transition to.
investment, because it's tangible. You can feel it, you can touch it. The market might go down, but hey, man, your house is always there. It always has value. So that's, still a great investment either way, no matter what happens. So with COVID and everything going on now, you still have an obligation to your employees. So you're keeping them busy on the houses that you're working on currently, correct?
Yeah, so currently we have the project we're going on now, and we are still doing a little painting. Up in Pennsylvania, we actually had a work shutdown, so you had to apply for a emergency work permit, and basically we're permitted to work in empty homes. So we're kind of doing virtual conferences with our customers. They're sending me measurements and photos, and I'll even kind of hop on FaceTime with them just to walk them through our process, and kind of get that sales aspect in there, because I don't like just
Sure.
shooting off a price. It usually doesn't go over too well. So I've been doing a few of those. We're trying to keep busy with like office jobs, but our primary market is residential repaints, and it's those have really stopped or be non-existent with families
Absolutely,
living in them.
absolutely, yeah, and
So
that's going to
it's
be
a
the biggest
transition.
transition, is getting people comfortable again. And I think we're never going to get that feeling, and I don't believe so within the next 8 to 10 months, that it's just like, okay, everything's good now. It's going to be a gradual thing that's always in the back of our minds, and I think that the more creative you can be about how you approach estimates, homeowners, customers, maybe even making the transition to really focus the marketing on exteriors, is just a course for survival. I mean, even with two employees, you're still responsible, and they have a paycheck that they need to make. So it really falls on your shoulders, how you approach the coming months. So how are you balancing both, the houses, and trying to find paint jobs? What has worked for you?
It really comes down to trying to schedule my day. When I wake up in the morning, I try to sit down and write an idea of what I want to get done each hour. So usually that I'll focus, a few hours on either going and doing some estimates, writing up some estimates, or just looking at some marketing I can do. I've been trying to reach out to general contractors I know that have office buildings, stuff like that, to fill the schedule. And then later in the day, I'm usually meeting with subcontractors on the flip I'm doing, or just running around
Yeah,
materials, stuff
yeah. I
like
mean, it
that.
just sounds like being proactive. When you first started, you weren't just doing painting, right? I think I mean, we've been friends for, I think, a little over 2 years now, man. And I think in the beginning, what
Yep.
were you doing, man? What was your focus on? I think you were kind of doing like all over the place.
Well, I was all over the place, and I actually, when we first met, I was actually
Okay,
working for a handyman
like an
as
apprentice.
a laborer. So, yeah, I was an apprentice. He kind of went around. He did everything from electrical, plumbing, drywall, put your kitchen in, put your bathroom in. So I was all over the place, getting a little bit of
Okay.
knowledge everywhere. Um, but I'd recommend focusing on one thing. I spent the past almost I've been getting into the real estate, but I've really tried to focus on the painting. And I when I started painting, I really didn't know anything, and now a lot of the people that are on my team have 10, 20 years experience, and I really let them kind of take the reins on how we approach the projects. I take their input and I adapt it into
Yeah, and I
our
think that that's
processes.
smart leadership, man. You never want to come across that you know everything, because we don't. And that's okay,
Yeah.
man. Letting people play to their strengths is something that I've used strategically to build my business. I mean, like I said, I mean, I didn't even know how to paint the outside of a house, and for me to say that now, I think like, man, like I was such a novice, but I just never hesitated to ask to allow people to take the lead on certain things. Even though I'm the owner of the business, I had no problem with somebody else saying, hey, actually we should do it this way. And really the idea was to do the best job for whoever it is that we were working for. And that's proved to be still valid today. I mean, even the other day, I mean, I'm 3 years into my painting business, and one of my guys said, "Yeah, that was a bad idea to use this specific product on, this specific surface. You should have ordered this. I'm gonna go order it now. And I'm like, that's cool,
Yep.
whatever, man. That's totally fine. Thanks for telling me. Tell me again the next time something like that happens. So, it's a tribute to your leadership. What are the plans for you like to grow, man? Are you planning on expanding the painting business if things pick up, or what is your vision for long term? Or are you really just going to focus heavily on the real estate game?
Um. Well, we're still fully focused on growing the painting business. We've been putting a lot of time right now into our Google Ads campaign this winter, and like fine tuning that to really hit the market we want to hit. And we're really focusing on attracting those A level customers, and we want to treat them with really the highest level of customer satisfaction. And I've been trying to reach back out to them, every few months. Um, I'm trying to get these people on Facebook, send them cards, and really become almost part of
Yeah,
their life and just
yeah,
remind them about
I
me.
like that.
Um, because when I've gotten into few sections around my city, and once we get in with those really good people, all they know is people just like them, and they're willing to pay for a good job. And there never really any headaches, and they're not gonna
Yeah,
bust your balls
yeah.
with the
What would
price
you
either.
say
So,
is most attractive to the A level customers? Because we don't know what an A level customer is until, obviously we can judge them based off of the size of the house. We could judge them on, the difficulty of what it is they want done. Because my definition of an A level customer really, and this is just like the most simplest definition, but I think that if you set your sights on looking for someone like this, your life will be easy as a contractor. And my definition of an A level customer is somebody that places high value on quality work and recognizes what all goes into being able to produce that quality work in a time frame that is acceptable. You know what I'm saying? It's like they recognize the
mm-hmm.
processes. They recognize the cheerful phone greeting. They recognize the being on time. They recognize the really nice sales approach. They recognize the really nice sales templates. They recognize all this stuff and they say, "You know what? If I'm getting all of this before the actual project, then I'm I have high chances. There's a very high chance that I'm going to get a really good project that's worth paying a little more than the other competitor." You know what I'm saying? Is that kind of what you would identify as an A level customer?
Oh yeah, definitely. And that customer, their main thing they're not looking at isn't price. They want something that's going to be easy. We're providing a high level product, but I'll be honest, we're not the highest level
Sure.
painters in our area. Um, there are people customizing and like high end work. We do a great job. I think we do it for a fair price, but we're super easy to work with. We're the guys you call, and you can send you and your family can go on vacation, and you don't even have to
Yeah,
think about it. You're
everything will
gonna
be
come
done
home, and
exactly.
everything's gonna be done great. Um, and all those things, all that presentation, that's what tells them that
Right.
that's gonna happen. And then once you provide that to one customer that's like, hey, I'll go on vacation, you come pay my house, then you have that level of trust, and that trust transfers to all of their people
Absolutely.
in their friend network. So when you're getting a call from them, it's not even a question. They're not calling anyone else. They just
Yeah,
want that easy
absolutely. And I think
transaction.
that I've built my company with that focus of if I give you my word that something's going to be done, I will go until the end of the earth to make sure that it's going to get done. And it's not because of any other reason, but that's just my standard. And that's the standard that I've built my company. Like, if something needs to be done, we'll pay for it, we'll do it, whatever has to be done to make sure that, you're 100% or as close to 100% satisfied as possible. And, that is what is going to breed success. But, kind of getting back to it, the A-level customer may have had a bad experience before and recognizes now what it takes to make sure they're going to have a good experience. So maybe they are paying for trust, but we're also making the investment as high level contractors to provide that trust. And that starts with, that presentation, those proposal templates, the sales process, and then the people that we allow into our circle, our workers, the people that we trust to, represent our trust. So there's a lot of different things, man. And I can definitely see, you know, the value in building that.
Yeah, no, it does have to run company deep. Um, I know when I first got involved with you, you were a huge help on the sales side of my business, and we exploded quick, and we weren't delivering the quality that I wanted to deliver, and the quality
Yeah,
level that I was selling. Um, so I always stood against my word, but it ended up being, we were in a
sure.
customer's house for an extra day, we had to redo something. Um, and the customers were always understanding because we always made it right, but we
Yeah,
don't want to have to do
yeah,
that every single time. So that level of sales and professionalism that I brought in the beginning has slowly worked down, and that involves like every single person I hire has to be someone that I wouldn't mind hanging
exactly.
out
That's
with in my
such a
house for
good
a night.
point. That's what I say all the time is like, if you're going to hire them, then you should feel just as comfortable if they came to your house to work. And that is exactly the standard. That is a good benchmark. Um, Going back to the sales process and what you said about how maybe you were overselling in the beginning, totally fine because that's exactly what I did. Oversold. I literally,
Yep.
you're selling for survival. I mean, essentially, I had maybe two estimates a week in the beginning, and anyone that would listen to me, I made it sound like we were the best. And slowly but surely, after I did that sale, I would be in the mud with my team, my production, trying to meet that standard. And yes, it did require
Yep.
going back a few times. And then as the processes got better, the more we did it, the more we refined, the more we looked at our mistakes and made them better. And then I attracted better talent because we had more work. And I was slowly able to match that level of, I would say, excitement and the selling. I was able to match the production with the sales, and then now I would say that the sales are good, but the production has now exceeded the sale. Where now we're exceeding those expectations. Does that make sense? There's like these like
Oh
three
yeah, no, that's
stages of business. The beginning where you're kind of like faking it till you make it, and then you actually, you know, are able to meet that standard, and now you're exceeding the expectations. And it's really cool to see it that way. But it is, as a business owner, being able to balance both, both areas, sales and production. And I think a lot of guys kind of, they have a hard time with that, maybe because they're really deep into production and not focused so much on the sales. I put something out, it was like a post or something, where I said the first thing when it comes to a successful painting business is your team. And then the second thing is your sales process, because, if you don't have a team, it's really hard to confidently sell, So the guys that you have working for you, do you see them sticking around for a while? Or are these people that you're encouraging to stay around to kind of build upon when things clear up and season's back in full force?
Yeah, I mean, those are the people that I really try to keep close, and I want to keep them busy. I ask them, what they want, and some of my guys are still on vacation from last year, and honestly, that's what they prefer. And the ones that I still have working, they were like, we got families to feed, and I keep them busy with whatever I can. I'll throw them in the house, and they won't be doing painting, but I'll keep them busy with something.
Yeah, and that's the focus, man. So any last tips, advice, strategy for anyone listening to this that's kind of maybe in your position? I would say that you're in kind of just like with your painting business, you're more in like a limbo stage with the COVID-19, man. You're working it, you're thinking of it, but you do know that maybe this is just a season and you're going to come out of it strong. I like what you said about the focus about keeping your guys busy. What would you say to somebody that's in your same position, man, that's kind of thinking about, how to come out of this strong and keeping their team motivated? Maybe that's not in a position to just throw them in a house to work on that they're flipping. What kind of advice would you have for someone like that?
Yeah. Well, first I would, look at your team. And, the fact is that we probably are going to all end up taking a hit here, and stuff is going to slow down. So, look at the team and see what key players you think you're like, these are the guys that I want to build the business on, that I can see running my teams and not really having too many problems. And, those are the people that, maybe you have to slim out the team. None of us want to do that, but you want to make sure you're keeping those key players. And then I was talking to you about this earlier this week, but, that stimulus bill came into play, and, there's a lot of good things in there. So I'd say talk to your accountant on that. They're offering loans, and there's a potential that those loans will turn into grants, possibly giving you free payroll money, pretty much paid unemployment for your guys, part-time up to a week, full-time up to 2 weeks. So, the government's almost giving you some free money here. So I would take a look at it, and, if you can apply and get that.
Great advice, man. Always a pleasure talking with you, Skylar. Appreciate you jumping on the podcast today, man. I'm sure it's going to, shed a lot of insight and help a lot of people listening. All right, man.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, I just want to take a second to thank you for joining me here on the Contractor Secrets podcast. I'm just going to take this opportunity to let you know that my passion is coaching people, helping people. I've changed my Instagram name to @contractorcoach, and I did that because that is my passion. I want to help you. So please reach out to me. If you have an issue going on in your business, send me an email. Find me on Instagram, message me, and let's do a breakthrough session. I want to work through your problems in your business to help you get to that next level. And one thing that I always say is this, the difference between those that get over the humps and the hurdles in business is just a change in perspective. And that's what I plan to offer you. So get with me, message me, allow me to help you take your business to the next level.